to hear more about just like the beginning of your story. Like if you were to split up your life and gaming and streaming and all of the things into like 3 chapters, how would you explain those chapters to somebody? Also, should I call you Ma or do you want me to call you, is
You
it
can call
Anya?
me mom. Yeah, it's my real name is Anya, but most of the
Okay.
people now call me Ma, and I
Everybody
really
knows you
like
as
it.
Ma.
Everybody knows me
Okay,
as Ma,
perfect.
so it's
All
fine.
right.
It's fine.
Sounds good. So yeah, tell us like if you had 3 like chapter titles of your life, what would they be and how would you describe them to somebody?
Oh my God. Well, you going straight right there. I totally
I'm
did
just
not
going jumping
not
in.
jumping in. 3 chapters. Oh my God, that's really hard because, and I'll explain just quickly why.
Mhm.
Um, I am quite old. No, kidding. I'm 40. But I was born in
Not old at all.
Serbia back in the years when there was lots of, wars and everything going on. So I've been
Mhm.
traveling between countries most of my life. Yes,
Mhm.
I'm an ancient being, and
An ancient
proudly
being.
so, proudly so. And I've been traveling my whole life and kind of pushed by my parents to live, in different countries. So we could say that those chapters until I kind of went into uni, we could say that it's been the traveling chapter. It's like constantly
Mhm.
changes and constantly different languages and constantly, losing people, gaining new friends and losing friends again. So you could say kind of a chapter of travel and like yin yang, loss and gain, a constant,
Mhm.
turnaround of things. Um, I was always a gamer
Mhm.
because in the 90s there was the Tetris and the Game Boy and the Sega kind of got traction and everything, and I was always
Yeah.
playing, but I never had a PC up until I was 22, and
Okay.
quite I basically bought the PC because I found WoW,
Mhm.
and that was kind of the time when girls playing WoW were quite something. Still then, it was like,
Mm.
oh my God, you would go in the gaming room and all the boys were like, who's she
Who's
visiting? And
this?
I'm like, I'm playing, thank you very much. So it was a different time back then. Nowadays, it is totally fine to be a girl or a woman playing, but back then,
Mhm.
it was quite something different, and
Yeah.
it made me have purpose. It was like, oh, okay, I'm a healer in my guild, I'm a healer in the raid,
Mhm.
I have a purpose kind of, and that was
Yeah.
how that whole WoW story for me started. Funnily enough, though,
Mhm.
I played a human paladin, a holy
Oh,
paladin,
wow.
but a male one. So
Yeah.
and comms were good, but usually not many people would talk except for the raid leaders, so nobody knew that
Mhm.
I'm actually female up until
Mhm.
way into the raid.
What was
um
your first expansion, if I can ask?
it was TBC.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And I loved it. I loved Zangramarsh. I loved everything about WoW because it was everything that I couldn't have in life, or everything that I could have in life just enhanced, or everything that I couldn't have, kind
Mhm.
of there. So it was very, very nice, and lots of people. See, but because I was traveling so much, I was losing friends a lot. And then,
Mhm.
it was a community suddenly. This is where the community aspect
Yeah.
started to be important to me, and, being around the right people, and why I really dislike bullying and anything that sort of, because I just find that it has no place in a good community.
Yeah.
So I was drawn into this community type, which WoW has amazingly, but also on the other hand, you had this elitist kind of groups that you can go
Mhm.
into, and then it's not so nice. But we all
Yeah.
experience different kinds of WoW. So
Mhm.
that part, when I started gaming and I got married very young and got my first daughter very young. She's turning 17 now next month.
Mm.
You could kind of call the second phase, which was rebirth. I suddenly had a
Mm,
purpose in game, and
yeah.
my life was, expanding. And I moved to China for a year. My oldest is made in China, so it's like it's really funny. And it was kind of everything was happening, you
Yeah.
suddenly a young parent, and lots of
Oh,
stuff
that's a
going on.
huge life change.
Yeah,
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 absolutely.
amazing. And in the third basically chapter was roughly 12 years ago when I got cancer for the first time. So that
Mhm.
chapter we could call suffering. I don't know
Mm,
how else to
mhm.
call it, because
Yeah.
in the end, when you're struggling with something for 12 years, and it's not a chronicle, it's not a chronic disease or an autoimmune disease,
Mhm.
it's basically something that's trying to kill you for so long.
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
it turns into a point of suffering, basically, almost. And in
So,
this, WoW has been my savior of sorts.
yeah. In that 12 years, has it been cycles of like remission and then,
Yes, yes, yes.
flare-ups again and all that stuff? So walk me through that. Like when you first received your diagnosis, tell me what in how the world changed for you.
At first, I'll be honest, everybody who knows me here in the community by now knows what kind of person I am, and they know that,
Mhm.
you know, when you get a diagnosis, I'm like, it's fine. We're gonna tackle
Mhm.
it. I'm a bear.
Mhm.
I'm a guardian
Yeah.
bear, right? I
Yeah.
taunt stuff, I bash stuff, I trash stuff for my living.
Yeah, just
So
keep on moving. It's no
exactly.
big
It was
deal.
like,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
fine. We're going to beat this. It's fine. I'm going to do everything
Mhm.
necessary. But then,
Yeah.
you go into remission 3 months after
Mhm.
it comes back. Okay. You
Mm.
go like, okay, I'm
Mhm.
going to fight it again. You go
Yeah.
into
Beat it once.
remission 6 months after it comes again. And you're
Yeah.
just getting kind of like,
Mm.
okay, well, it's getting, over and over again. Um,
Yeah.
at this very moment, I had 20 surgeries. The last one was
Mhm.
last year. I
Wow.
had over 25 rounds of chemo, over lots and lots of hours of radiation. Um, I had I have 65% of my bowels removed. I'm on constant
Wow.
therapies with like lots of different stuff. I was in a coma once. I was like admitted to the hospital for various reasons so many times. So basically the hospital is my second home. And my children, and I have three of them by now, and I fought tooth
Mhm.
and nail to have them,
Mhm.
are used to this. They're used to a life where their mom will, be in the hospital for a while. So they
Yeah.
don't know it differently, unfortunately.
Mhm.
For me, there was a point where I was like, I was always like, okay, I'm gonna fight this, and it's fine. But then there comes a stage where you're just like, please just release me. Just, either,
Mhm.
let me be or take me. I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't want to fight anymore, because fighting, like in a raid, after a while, everybody's tired. You just can't anymore. Your brain starts working, stops working. Your
Mhm.
body stops working. So at the
Mhm.
point, I had those, kind of ups and downs. And there is pictures of me in the hospital, with all kind of wires on me and everything, on
Mm.
my laptop in a raid.
Oh my god.
Like, I was like, no, I'm not
Oh
gonna
my
let this stop me of kind of trying to be in that mindset of a fighter, because the moment you log into this game and you log your character, you are your
Mhm.
character.
Yeah.
Many people do not understand that, but we make copies of ourselves. This is why
Mhm.
when Kulturans were announced, I
Yeah.
was leaping of joy, because I could never find myself in any of the races that were in the game. I
Yeah.
would play a Draenei, but a male Draenei, because I was like,
Mhm.
where are the curvy fatsos?
Yes.
Give me something I can, like. And then the
Yeah.
Kulturan females came, and I'm like, that's me. That's totally me.
Finally. Finally, they've done it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, I could see myself even then, with the looks, because as a bear, it doesn't really matter
Mhm.
how you look like. You're a bear the moment
Yeah.
but I could see myself in my character. And then
Mhm.
every time I said I have kids, but I had a hysterectomy. So last year.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I basically was fighting for my kids, because doctors were against it. But I said,
Mhm.
since I'm an only child, I don't want my kids to be, by
Yeah.
themselves. And
Yeah.
My son, the youngest, he's 2.5. We call him the
Mhm.
2-year-old gnome warrior.
Ah,
Um, because he keeps trashing the house and diaper
oh, yeah.
storming and heroic leaping on the shelves and yeah. But there was only a 3% chance that he can be conceived, and yet he did
Wow. Wow.
it happened. So I
Yeah.
was always, like really, really adamant about staying alive and being there for my community, but also
Mhm.
looking for that from my community. When I go like, having a really bad day, that the community isn't, oh, suck it up, whatever, but
Yeah.
there's actual feelings involved. We live these lives, but we're so many hours in this game and in these
Mhm.
communities that they become kind of, a second family, a third family. Doesn't matter.
They really do. And like you said, like there's a part of us that just exists in this game. Like it's not just, oh, we're going to log on and we're going to play this thing and we're going to try to do this checklist. Like sometimes it feels that way, but truly it is about connection. And I think that that's something that critics of video gaming don't get. Like we really are, you're halfway, you're across the world from me and we're able to like maybe not even meet in server but we're able to do this and we were able to connect over this common
Mm,
experience and this common thread. And I think now with housing, it's a whole other world because
totally.
look at what we're able to do. Like, look at what you're able to do. So, like with the restaurant, I would love the backstory of what inspired you to start the restaurant, what kind of gave you the last push and what was your vision for it and just your whole experience because this is brand new and you're fast, like housing has only been out for a few months and
Oh, I planned this. The moment housing was announced, I turned to my husband because we both play
yeah.
WoW, and I was like, I'm
Hmm.
making a restaurant. And he was like, good idea.
Yeah.
Backstory
Yeah.
there is that I was raised by my grandmother the first 5 years of my
Mhm,
life, and she
mhm.
was a pure ass Balkan woman,
Yeah.
the oldest of 12 children. Bear in mind,
Oh
the
my
oldest of 12
god.
children.
Yeah.
I remember waking up at 3 years old and her sitting already in the kitchen making bread, making breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mhm.
It was kind of second nature to me, and she taught me to cook. By 7 years of age, I could cook like a full meal, soup and chicken,
Yeah.
and like stuff in the oven and so on and so on. So when I had a break from work, because working was always difficult for me, because I would work while I'm healthy, and then I
Mhm.
would relapse, and then I would still continue
Yeah.
working, but of course, with the stamina and everything, it goes down, and then they would fire
Sure.
me, or I would say, okay, I can't anymore. So I stopped
Mhm.
it. And during
Yeah.
one remission, I decided for myself, I'm gonna make my dream come true, because God knows how long I'm gonna live. I'm
Mhm.
gonna open up a pancake food truck,
Oh,
which I did. I opened up
wow.
the food truck, and I loved it for 7 months. I was constantly on work, but I loved it. I was making, I don't know how much, like, how big that is in the US, but 40
Uh-huh.
centimeters, that's roughly like,
40 centimeters is what, like
that's huge. Like, I made huge
huge.
pancakes, like XXL pancakes, and I was filling them with sweet, and there was like savory ones, and I had a fun time, and people loved it, and it was really,
Yeah.
really nice. So there we
Oh
go.
my
A little over a foot. There you go. So
yeah, yeah,
they
yeah. I
were
was just
huge.
I was like, "Oh my gosh." I
And
thought over a foot, and then I was like, "That can't be right." And then I
no,
looked
no,
and Googled, and
they
I was
were
like,
they
"No,
were
indeed."
they're
They were
huge. They
massive.
were huge. I even have a picture. I will post it once on my Insta.
Yes,
But
please do.
it was really lovely. But then I couldn't anymore. Cancer
Yeah.
came back, and
Mhm,
stupidly enough, this cancer that I have now is the one because I stopped working, and it's in my bones. I have an
mm,
osteosarcoma on my spine, which metastasized into my spine and into my bone marrow. So
oh
I
my god.
basically have a very sexy cane, like Dr. House, that I'm walking
Mhm,
with.
mhm.
Um, but they can't tell me anything. We're trying everything now. I spent almost $100,000 on staying alive.
Wow.
Some of it by my own, by me working, some of it by taking out loans that I'm still repaying up to this day.
Mhm,
Some of it by, the my parents helping me with a little bit, and or
mhm,
whatever I had to do to stay alive, I did do it.
mhm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
wasn't a stripper yet though, but who knows? Sexy stripper with a
Hey, there's
cane.
still time, you never
You
know.
never know. You never know. But I tried everything to stay alive, especially for the children,
Yeah.
and the
Mhm.
cooking um saves me. It's like WoW. It's
Yeah.
like WoW when I
Yeah.
don't play WoW. For me, cooking, for my kids, I wake up Sunday, 5 a.m. I make 100 pancakes, like this big of a
Mhm.
stack.
Oh
And
my god.
when they wake up, we just have lovely breakfast and so on and so on. But it's getting
Yeah.
exceedingly harder because,
Mhm.
it's getting into my bones. I can't move my fingers so well.
Mhm.
Stuff keeps, falling from my hands. So when
Mhm.
I saw housing, I was like, I need to make in the game what I wanted to make for myself in
Yeah.
life, but couldn't. So
Yeah.
basically, that was the idea behind Maswal Restaurant, and I wanted a place for the community to be basically like, oh, you know what? Let's go on a virtual date in Maswal Restaurant
Yeah.
and just have fun and talk on Discord while we're just sitting there. Just have like a place where people can go, and I made a wedding hall where people can actually get married. And so
Oh my
it
god.
was it was kind of the idea of what would I want in my restaurant, and there is still
Yeah.
lots of it incoming in midnight. And I even told my husband, I told, if something happens to me, make sure
Mhm.
to finish it. You know what my plans are.
Yeah.
Make sure to finish
Yep.
what I started. It needs to stay there. It needs to be
Yeah,
there.
yeah. No,
So
it's so incredible because I think about so many studies in like human vitality and like just the what keeps us going. And when I talk to you and when I see your streams and when I see your content, you're just so vibrant and so positive. And I think a lot of people that hear your story would be like, how the heck do you keep on keeping on, this way? And
the
it's
community, they don't believe
yeah,
it, but I'm constantly telling it to them how much I love it. I'm gonna get emotional, right?
yeah.
I
Well,
keep
if you're gonna
telling the
be.
people how amazing they are and how amazing it is to
Mhm.
have them on Discord, or because I made a Discord because people kept asking me, do you have a Discord we can join? And I just made one. I was like, here you
Yeah.
go. Just join in and that's it. And it's really mellow. There is nothing
Mhm.
special going on or me spamming the channels. It's just,
Yeah.
once a day you will see, I wish you all a lovely day. I'm not here to
Mhm.
spam you. I'm here to give you support, which means, there is a vent channel. If you just want to vent about life or your kids, your
Yeah.
husband, your friend, your work, your boss, whatever, right?
Mhm.
And as you said, I met this amazing community from the US, which
Mhm.
never would have happened, if housing wasn't here. Suddenly I have
Yeah.
people overseas that, tell me, love you, ma. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's
It's
amazing. It's an
amazing.
amazing community. And I know this sounds bad, but
Mhm.
this makes me not want to die, even more. It's like
Yeah.
it keeps
Yeah.
me going. It keeps when my
Yeah.
spirit goes low, it keeps me going like, no, you know what?
Mhm.
My community needs me. The game doesn't need me, one player more or
Mhm.
less, but the
Yeah.
community needs me. I love the people and I want to stay here. I want to be here. So
Mhm.
I'm trying, I'm giving my best. So it's really difficult to kind
Yeah.
of navigate um that love that you have for somebody you haven't met
Mhm.
and make them realize
Yeah.
that you can actually love somebody you haven't met, because we
Yes.
spend so much time around each other and everything. And when I saw you, I was like, oh my God, this is exactly like the
Yes.
amazing ideas that should be here, in this community to help people, to just be like, you know what, I don't have the strength anymore, and you for
Mhm.
yourself know, hey, I'm here to catch you when you need picking up.
Mhm.
And this is also my job, because if you think about it, who do you talk to the most when you when
Mhm.
you you know go out? It's either the hairdresser, they're kind of
Mhm.
or you talk with somebody in the
Yeah.
bar or in the
Yep.
restaurant.
I always tell people that my experience as a bartender and a server prepared me far and above more to be a therapist than my master's degree and my
Totally,
license did.
totally. Yeah,
That's where I started my
it's
practice.
all about the real life experience. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody who is everything and everybody has its purpose. I
Mhm.
always say that my purpose. Um, I say that my purpose was to have those kids and to make them
Mhm.
into good human beings that one
Mhm.
day will continue my legacy. My legacy, because
Yeah.
I'm no Elon Musk, I'm no
Yeah.
Tesla, I'm no Jeff Bezos, right? I don't
Yeah.
have money. I don't have, kind of something that I will leave this world, except for my kids,
Mm,
except for the
mhm.
legacy of my kids being there and one day maybe telling their children about what their mom has done, or
Yeah.
those children then telling their children, and so on and so on. um so it's a big thing. Community is a big thing.
Yeah, and I think like on top of the human beings that you get to create and impart in, I think on another level, now your community is part of your legacy. And now the work that you're doing in game and the work that you're doing online, like uh, it's we're out here on the internet now. Like this stuff
Yeah,
is here to
totally, totally.
stay, or so they say. They always told me if you put anything on the internet, it's going to stay there forever. So this is another way of extending the legacy, and I think a lot of people would agree with me that your legacy is also I would say hope, resilience, kindness, humor. There are so many things that come to mind when I think about you, and it's like sick is not one of them, you know?
Oh, thank you.
When you
That's very
were
nice.
yeah, when you were
Trust me,
telling
I
me a
have
little
I
bit.
have my bad days, right? There is days
Yeah,
when I remember once, when there was the diagnosis, like literally 2 months after remission started, and I
yeah.
got really really mad, like
Mhm,
really really next level mad.
mhm,
And I bought a ticket. I gave the kids, there was two at the moment, my girls, and I
mhm.
give them to the grandparents, and I was like, I'll be back in a week. And I booked a
Yeah.
ticket to Serbia, to my hometown
Mhm,
Belgrade, its capital,
mhm,
and I was drinking myself
mhm.
mad for a week, right? I
Yeah.
was like whiskey after whiskey, Johnny Walker after
Mhm.
Johnny Walker. I was just
Yep.
so angry at life and everything, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And then
Yeah.
suddenly after a week, I woke up one morning, I looked into the sky, like through the window, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back home.
Yeah, I'm done. I got it out.
I'm done. And that's why therapists are so important. For example, in Serbia, there is still this big stigma about therapists.
Mhm.
Oh my God, if you need a therapist, you have some kind of, you're
Yeah. I
whack in the head.
married into a Ukrainian family, and my father-in-law
There you
often,
go.
has
You
his
know what
thoughts
I
about
mean.
what I do.
You know exactly what I mean. So
Yes.
there is a big stigma around it, but in my opinion, everybody should have a
Yeah.
therapist, because
Mhm.
letting it out, you can't sometimes, we have best friends, we have spouses,
Mhm.
but yes, they are best friends, but you can't really, they're biased. You can't do it the
Yeah.
same way as you can with a therapist. So it's
Yeah.
different. And for me, I wanted to be that kind of course, I'm not a professional, but I have a restaurant. So you can come to
Yeah.
me and you can let it out and you can be like, oh,
Exactly.
he's bothering me. He's leaving the socks on the floor every day. I'm so
Mhm.
fucking bothered by it. And I'll be like,
Yeah.
I totally
Yeah.
get you. I get you.
Yeah, I get it.
So
Yeah.
it's a big part, I think, of life to actually let it
Mhm.
out at some point, but
Yeah.
then to let it out only to come back stronger and come back and
Mhm.
be like, this is what it is. I mean, my
Yeah.
only perk of actually having cancer was having a big Kim Kardashian butt, because
Yeah.
I'm getting meds that are hormones, and I was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this thin before therapies, and
Yeah.
then as I started therapies, I really gained weight because of the hormones. But
Mhm.
I'm having this, Kim K butt, so I'm fine.
Hey, and you didn't even it was like just a side perk. It wasn't even
Yeah,
the deals.
just a debuff kind of sitting
Yes,
there.
exactly.
No,
Well,
but
and I think like
it's yeah, it's just I wanted to have a session with you because there
yeah.
is, times when people don't realize that,
Mhm.
behind those keyboards are real people with real
Yeah.
issues, with, lives and whatever. There is lots going on. We take it for granted. We don't
Yeah.
act the same towards, towards others. I remember when I was in the coma, I actually just told my guild back then, because I was a raider even then. I told them I'm back in 5 days from the surgery
Yeah.
that I'm going to, and I'm fine. Like, don't put me on tentative or anything. I'm fine.
Yeah.
And 3 months afterwards, I logged on
Wow.
because I was in the coma. I was in the hospital. There was
Yeah.
complications, and the guild was like, "Oh my God, you're alive!" And I'm like,
Yeah.
thankfully, you know,
Oh my
thank
god.
God. But they replaced me. They of course replaced me with somebody,
Yeah.
and I couldn't get back into my role, so I kind of looked
Mhm.
somewhere else because that was it. And that's
Yeah.
normal. Life
Mhm.
goes on. I try to say that to everybody who I meet, because everybody's like, "Oh my God, we're so sorry. We hope you don't die for many many years." And I'm like, it's fine.
Mhm.
It's not cancer that can only kill me. I could go out
Yeah.
tomorrow to buy a drink and I could get hit by a
Yeah.
car, right? L-
Yes. Yeah.
Death is unfortunately part of us. Also,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we don't have healers like in the game or reses
I
where,
know.
we can redo it. I wish we
I
would, but
know.
we don't.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just, it's part of life. So we
Yeah.
need to make sure to have as much fun and compassion and love to each other and with each other as much as possible while we still can.
Mhm. Yeah.
My stepdad, I got him into WoW, and he was playing
Mhm.
for a long time, and he died 3 years ago or 4 years ago of a brain
Wow.
aneurysm at 59 years of age.
Wow.
I remember like yesterday when I had to log on into his WoW and tell all of the people in his friend list that he died.
Mm.
These are
Yeah.
nice things that you do, but you still have to do them. You just don't want to
Yeah.
leave the people guessing what's going on and
Oh,
what's
the
happening.
unfinished stories are terrible when you just
Exactly.
don't know. You just have the
Exactly.
question marks.
So
Mhm.
for me, there's this why I started Maswao restaurant was basically I want to leave this legacy of Ma,
Mhm.
being there, of leaving. When I watched Ebelin's story last year, I was bawling my eyes out
Oh my
for a
gosh. You and
week,
me both.
right? For a week.
You and me both.
Because I never buy stuff
Yeah.
from the in-game store, but when I saw, the backpack
Yeah.
with the fox, I was like, I'm
Yeah.
going there, because it is exactly that. He didn't know
Yeah.
what you know, kind of legacy he's leaving behind.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I was like, I have nothing else but my children and, them
Mhm.
and what they will give on. But I want to kind of, reach out to others and be like, hey, here I am, and I can help you with whatever you need, like if
Yeah.
it's just talking, or I can't give you, money or gold, or I suck at making gold, so I'm like the worst
Yeah, me too.
the worst at that, but I can't offer anything else but myself. And
Yeah.
this is kind of the community that I'm trying to get into and to have, and housing is just part of it, and I'm loving it. I'm
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it's my husband actually told me today, like, he hasn't seen me this happy while being sick for a
Mhm.
while, because I just
Yeah.
zone in into building something, and then the pain goes away, and you just,
Mhm.
except for when the 2-year-old then tackles me, but everything has its
Right.
ups and
Right.
downs.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because even on like a physical level, the co-regulation and the way that we help carry the burden for each other, the emotional burden, it is crazy how important just being able to connect with each other and share each other's stories and like the co-regulation. I love that when somebody just says, wow, like I can't imagine, or I'm here with you, or they're able to joke with you, or just talk, like it does something that just lightens the load. And on the kind of like biopsychological end of it, it's because of the hormones that are changing in our body, the way that our hormones are fluctuating when we are interacting with one another. It's actually healing. Like community is actually helping to build resilience, which is like how we're able to bounce back when we have really devastating days and things like
Yeah.
that. And somebody like you don't always we don't have that at the forefront of our understanding. We're not always thinking like, oh, I'm so glad that I can hang out with this person so that I'm able to, oh, I just got kicked for being AFK. It's like, oh, I really need to hang out with this person so that I can reduce my cortisol levels and increase my oxytocin because
Mm,
that's going to make me feel much better. But instinctively, we know, wow, when I get around these people, I feel better. And I think like just keeping things simple like that, it's a gift. And
this
there
is
are
why
people,
this is why I have
yeah.
a zero bullshit tolerance.
Yes.
personally. Like when
Yes.
I see somebody, wronging somebody or bullying or
Yep.
even being harsher than what the other one I know can take, I immediately
Mhm.
step in. I'm like that in
Yep.
real life and I'm like that
Yep.
in game. There is a reason
Mhm.
why I play a tank. Right? It's always
Yep.
a tank first and then a healer
Mhm.
and then a DPS because with the
Yeah.
DPS I'm just like, stuff is harming me enough. I don't need to harm others, no matter if
Yeah.
it's, a bad guy or not a bad guy. But
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
just like I'm here to protect, and I try
Mhm.
to do so as much as I can. And now I just
Sure.
realize I'm trying to protect others because I wasn't protected. There you go.
Yeah.
Talking to the
Yep.
therapist makes me realize something. But
Yep.
this is
Amazing.
this is this is kind of, I feel not protected, and not from
Yeah.
anybody but from life, because I'm like,
Yeah.
why? Just, like this
Mhm.
question of why me, I never actually asked myself. I was always
Mhm.
like, there is a reason why me. I must have been like Hitler in my
Yeah.
last life or whatever, and I'm karmically I'm like down under. But
Yeah.
I never asked why me, and I can tell you just
Yeah.
a really big story. And guys, prepare yourselves, prepare the tissues
Mhm.
because it's not a nice one. That
Mm.
really, really humbled me, and I think that every person needs some sort of, humbling during their life at least a couple of
Mhm.
times. For me, it was seven, around 5 years ago, 5 to 7 years ago. It was
Okay.
another, cancer story. It started. I lost my hair. I was going on chemo. I was there sitting in the
Mhm.
oncology ward. And one day I came for my appointment for the oncology ward, and they said it's full. There is no space.
Mhm.
You can't sit anywhere. Would you please be so kind to go to the children's oncology ward?
Oh.
And I was like, okay, sure. I love kids. This
Mhm.
was my first thought. I was like, I love
Oh,
kids.
no.
So I
Yeah.
went down there, and it was just like literally 2 floors down. And I went down there, and you see these kids, and they're all laughing. They're all like, there is
Mhm.
no, like tears or no, bad feelings or anything. They're just
Yeah.
laughing there. So I said who I am and why I'm here, and I sat down, and they gave me a chair, and everything was fine. And suddenly,
Mhm.
roughly half an hour in, a girl comes in.
Mhm.
And she still has a bit of her hair, but it's all you can
Mhm.
see, roughed up.
Sure.
And she comes in and she was holding a plushie. And she was like,
Mhm.
"Who are you?" And I said, "Hi, I'm Anya." And she was like, "Why are you here?" And I was like,
Mhm.
"To get my treatment." And she was like, "Why are you not upstairs with the?" Well, she was really curious about stuff, and I was
Yeah.
answering her everything. And suddenly I was like jokingly, without thinking, I said, "And why are you here?" Oh.
Mm.
And she says, "I'm going to the angels soon." And I just was like,
Mhm.
I dropped. I was like,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Are the angels nice? And she was
Yeah.
like, yes, yes. I hear that they're nice, and I'm ready. And I know that all my plushies are waiting up there on me, and I'm gonna get a lot of nice food and everything, and it's all good. And bear in mind, I'm an agnostic, right? I'm
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not into the whole,
Sure.
heaven and hell thing. And she
Yeah.
was like, but of course, to her, I was like, and she was like 5-ish. And I said,
Oh, of
like,
course.
yeah, yeah, it's gonna be nice for you there. But I was
Mhm.
breaking inside. And
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, I'm breaking, but I'm still composing myself. It's still
Yep.
fine. And then she
Mhm.
said, and this was the humbling moment, and she said,
Mhm.
I'm not worried. I'm just worried about Ma and Pa because I can see them
Oh.
suffering. Here, I'm already close to tears. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
oh my God. No, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I started just
Mhm.
crying, and she said, like, no, why are you crying now? And I said, it hurts, my vein hurts. And she was like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I'm gonna call
Yeah.
the doctor. Okay, bye. And she went away.
Oh.
Oh
Oh
my God. I went home. I
my
kid you not, guys. I was crying for days because I was
yeah.
like, no, 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 no. She didn't even think about herself. She was just constantly thinking about others and how bad they had it, especially parents. As parents, we can
Yeah.
relate. And
Oh god.
and after that, I always said, I don't mind. After that, 5 years ago, I said, I don't mind
Mhm.
having cancer as long as
Mhm.
my kids are well, right? As
Yeah.
long as my kids are spared of that, I don't
Yeah.
mind getting it over and over again until I'm, I don't know, a bionic woman with,
Mhm.
metal arms and whatever. or
Yeah.
10 feet under. I don't mind as long as my kids are protected, because that is the worst feeling ever. She died 6 months after that. I heard,
Oh
because,
my gosh.
I asked one of the nurses, and she
Yeah.
died like 6 months after
Oh.
that. And I could, it was just like, I was like, I was pitying myself. Exactly, like a week before that, I was like,
Mhm.
oh, why me? And life
Yeah.
sucks, and why
Yeah.
this, and why that, and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And then after that, I never ever ever said why
Mhm.
me or why that, because I would forever and ever give my life, literally taunt
Mhm.
everything that I can from anyone I know and everybody close to me, rather than, them getting it. And this is just kind of the person that I am, right? There is enough bad stuff happening in the world, enough
Yeah.
bullshit and crazy stuff
Mhm.
and disgusting stuff and wars and like all the stuff that I don't know and don't agree with, and that I
Yeah.
hate. I was in the 99 bombing of Serbia. I was
Oh my
there
god.
for 2 months. I was, fearing for my life for 2 months. I spent my
Yeah.
14th birthday in the bunker, being bombed at. So I
Yeah.
know this from, firsthand, and I would never wish it on anybody, and I would never
Mhm.
wish on anybody my sickness either. But it's
No.
just like, I want to be there for others as long as I can, as long as I have, breath in me, which comes short often. um as long as I have breath in me, I want to be there for others as much as I can, for my kids and, my husband, who gets the worst of me because, life is not
Yeah.
easy, and he also has ADHD, so, it's like
Mhm.
all
Yeah.
around. But it's difficult times, and in these difficult times, I just want to
Mhm.
log on and be sure that I have a purpose in the game, that I have,
Mhm.
housing to get my mind of things, that I have people that I like and that like me, and that, stuff like that. So it's
Mhm.
basically that
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah, and I think like it's amazing the way that we instill strength in each other without even realizing it. Like that little girl didn't know the impact that she was going to have on you.
No,
She was just having
no,
a conversation with somebody that she saw for the first time, you know? And like even this conversation, this was something that you had said. You were like, this, if we have a conversation and we invite people in, it may impact people in a way that we could never even measure. You
and
know, we
that's what
can't
I
even
wrote
tell.
you. That's what I wrote you, and
Yeah.
that's what I meant, because when I saw you, I was
Yeah.
like, through you, I can reach even more people and tell them that it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
behind the screen, you are pixels on the screen to somebody else,
Mhm.
but in real life, you are more than enough. You are more
Yeah.
than loved by anybody. You see, there is
Mhm.
people who say, "Oh, nobody loves me," but it is
Mhm.
humanly not possible, right?
Mhm.
That nobody loves you. It can be a
Yeah.
pet. It can
Mhm.
be, your mother, your father. There was always a point in your life when you were loved, at least from one
Mhm.
person. There is nobody else, and people don't realize how special they are. How difficult it is actually for human life to be, born and to be made. It's not,
Yeah.
just pumping them out like crazy.
Mhm.
Everybody is special in their own way. So I'm
Yeah.
just here to try to make people know that.
And like for a lot of people in the Sparey Squad community, I say this all the time. Like I am rooting for you today and every day, and like every single person that has like chatted in, that has joined the Discord, that I see in game, like I genuinely, and I will say this until the cows come home, because I know that not everybody is earnest and genuine in their intention with reaching out to people. Like I genuinely am interested in the lives of those around me. Like I genuinely care about each and every one of these people, and like you said, like it is so possible to love somebody that you've never met. And I've
Totally.
said it all, like a lot of my best friends are a bunch of strangers I met on the internet. And I think that that's just like such a funny idea to the people around, like the people, my colleagues and some of my family that don't game, they don't really get it. But I'm like, no, like what we're doing here, and the people that we're meeting and the impact that we're having on each other, this is like we're doing something that matters. This matters. These conversations matter. Your restaurant matters. Like all of these things that we're doing is helping to continue, like you said, the legacy, and continue the mission of connection and of love and of support. And that's so important. And there are people in this world that are not easy. They may not feel easy to love. But I think hopefully through communities like this, it's a soft space to land, and they believe that they're allowed to outsource just some of the compassion. There are a lot of people that can't get it. Like some days you have to
Mm,
outsource your strength. Some days I have to outsource my compassion. Some days there's bravery that we need to outsource and we need to go to people. And I'll do it frequently in my stream. Like, guys, I'm just not feeling my best self today. Can you remind me that there is something positive about me, or like
yeah,
I can you help me, accept that this isn't a big deal because I'm trying to tell myself and I'm having a hard time reframing this. And I think it's just such a critical strength to have people to say like, look, I'm just struggling today. Can somebody help pick me up? Just for a
yeah,
second.
totally.
Once you pick me up, dust me off, I'll be fine and I can go about my day. But I just need help getting started, or I just need
Yeah.
help getting past this patch.
There's
Yeah,
also lots
I'm
of
so
people.
grateful for that.
Remember when you posted that video with
Yeah.
the mom, and
Yeah.
people resonated with it a lot,
Mhm.
because I think that many people get into gaming because they don't feel loved or fulfilled,
Yeah.
or and they're looking for that in game.
I agree.
That stems especially from mother-daughter, or son-father relationships, or mother-father, or whatever, but the
Mhm.
parental kind of relationships.
Yeah.
um True for me too, right? I
Mhm.
was sad about the video because I didn't have that as a child, but I'm
Yeah.
providing it for my children. And this is
Mhm.
the thing that's really important, because I've heard this many, many times before, funnily, that, oh, I didn't have a nice, upbringing. I'm not gonna be a parent because I don't know how to. And
Yeah.
yet then they become parents, and they become the best parents ever, because they know what not to do, because they
Yeah.
experienced it, so they
Yep.
can kind of
Absolutely.
show how not to do it. But there's also amazing parents, because they were shown how to do it. So it's never
Yeah.
a thing of like how you think that you will be, but there's actually, like, something else involved in this. And
Mhm.
it is really a genuine um pleasure to get to know people, on that
Yeah.
kind of level, on all kind of levels.
Mhm. Yeah. And I wanted to circle back to talking about like what you had said about purpose, because I think about, I don't know if you guys have seen, there's a documentary on Netflix actually. I think it's called uh something like blue areas, something about like the areas that have more people living over 100 years old. Um,
Haven't
they
seen that.
study those areas. Yeah. So basically, one of the commonalities between all of those areas was that people are instilled with a heavy sense of social responsibility and purpose. There is
Mm-hmm.
something about purpose that drives us on. And I think about like, I mean, a lot of people who are gamers, a lot of people who are in this, like, there is always that it's the hero's journey, right? So there's some sort of like conflict, there's this like rising action, and then there is a moment in which the hero has to decide, I'm going to push on regardless. Like, it's never people who are born into an easy life that have the most epic stories.
Yeah,
It's the people
totally.
who they overcome and they persevere. And I think that there's this innate sense of purpose that, even listening to you, I feel I'm like inspired. I'm like, yes, like, yeah, absolutely. Purpose drives us on. And like, this is something that I feel is another part of. I'm speaking soon, but I just really feel that that will be another part of the legacy that you leave, is like really instilling purpose in people, and like you matter, and you, like, this world would be incomplete if you weren't here, and there is a reason that you're here with two lungs and a brain to do something. So like,
Hey,
keep on driving
one
forward.
collapsed one, so
Yes, yes, exactly. Sometimes, you don't keep all the default parts,
yeah, yeah,
but
totally.
we press on, we press on.
Brain
Um,
and heart are still working, so that's, in my opinion, the most
exactly.
important
Yeah.
ones, to be fair.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it, but funnily enough, I always wanted to visit Japan,
Mhm.
because I always was in awe of. Have you watched the Netflix documentary with the kids that go to buy stuff? I always forget what the name is. Like in
Oh
Japan,
no.
it's normal for three
Yeah,
year
the kids
olds.
dressed in yellow?
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
send them on errands when they're 2, 3, 4 years old, and they
Yep.
send them to go buy, stuff for their grandma or whatever. And there is a
Mhm.
show about it. Like literally, you
Yeah.
can watch them because they're being followed, kind of sneakily by cameramen.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I was always in awe because all the people meeting the kids on their way
Yeah. Yeah.
actually, old enough. There we go. Botanical has watched that. Old enough. And
Yeah.
all the people are so amazing because the kid goes to them and he's like, I need help. And,
Mhm.
I mean, where I live or where I'm from, people
Mhm.
wouldn't react to a small kid just being, I need help. They would be like, oh, okay, here, go to the police, or I'll call the police for you or whatever. But in Japan, they actually help them. And
Yeah.
we're kind of slowly, unfortunately, as a world, losing this community
Yeah.
self.
Mhm.
We are getting more and more cold, because I see this before when my grandma was, when my grandma was a child was raised by the village.
Yes.
There was not one person raising the child, or mother and father, but there was grandmothers, aunties, neighbors,
Mhm.
the lady at the food stall. Like everybody was raising the child,
Yeah.
and this is
Yep.
why the children turned out so amazing, because
Mhm.
they already from a young age had a huge community around them, and
Yeah.
they knew that they will never be dropped, they will never be
Mhm.
alone, they will always be safe and protected and fed.
Mhm.
And nowadays, you don't have this. For example, me, I don't have
No.
anybody here, right? I have
Yeah.
only, it's me and my husband, and that's it. So if we
Yeah.
want to, do something, we cannot because we would need a babysitter or whatever. It's not the
Mhm.
same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be
Yeah.
fair, I would also like make communities where there is no money, but it's actually,
Yeah.
like I have chicken, you
Like the
have
bartering
cow.
system.
Exactly. I give you eggs, you
Yeah.
give me meat, and that's it. There is no
Yeah.
money, there is no nothing, just a commune, because the world is
Mhm.
getting so cold, and it's
Yeah.
not global warming.
Yeah, yeah. There are so many times that my mom and I will talk to each other and we're like, "Man, we're not meant to live like this. We should all be like living together, like with our feet in
Exactly.
the dirt and like at a
Exactly.
grand table, just breaking bread together and just like unloading our burdens and talking and laughing and enjoying life." And there's this idea that like I mean, obviously I live in America and like that's a whole loaded topic for another day, but like the idea of working or living to work just never sat right with me.
No, it's
Not
not.
ever. And there is an alternate idea or mentality of like working to live. Like, and
Exactly.
so when I work with teenagers, I people will often say like, "Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?" and what do you want to do, especially when you're in your late days in high school, like what college do you want to go to? What do you want to major in? And I always say like, don't do that. Don't do that. Figure out what type of life you want to live and then figure out what type of career or what type of income will equip you to do that, because you are not going to get up and feel that sense of purpose by, oh, I have to go to this job that I hate
Yeah, yeah,
and,
totally.
get a paycheck that is barely going to get me through the day and or through the week and whatever. So when you talk about like even outside of just like a grand purpose, just like the daily purpose, what am I doing with my day? Like today I was so excited because I knew I was going to get up and I was going to talk to you,
Yeah, me
and
too. I was excited
I
the whole
I
day.
was just like, this is gonna be such a good conversation, and I can't wait. And I always get excited on days that, like I get to stream or if I'm doing something with my family or whatever the case may be. So
Yeah, but
like that
we are
really
already
picks up.
old, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The new
Yes.
generation is the one that's gonna have major issues.
Yeah.
I had a
Mhm.
shitstorm on me
Mhm.
family wise, especially from the
Yeah.
Serbian family and their friends
Mhm.
and whatever, because my
Sure.
16-year-old tried to end her life last summer
Mm.
because she
Wow.
has autism. She's on the
Uh, yeah.
spectrum, and she just couldn't
Mhm.
handle it. She couldn't cope with it anymore, and whatever. And we had this whole thing going on, and then she
Yeah.
stopped school. she finished it regularly, it's fine.
Wow.
But then,
Mhm.
it was immediately expected of her to continue going to school or continue finding a job or something. And I said, no, I want her to
Mhm.
have a year off, to come
Yeah.
down, to find herself. We got her
Mhm.
a flat just for her own, literally a one room, tiny little thing where she has her own peace, her own
Her
rhythm,
own space.
her own space. I made sure that she feels safe and she is
Mhm.
thriving at the
Yeah.
moment. And
Oh,
it's
that's
important to not push our children into anything they don't want to do just because of,
mhm.
the society wanting it as such. For me, for
Yes.
example, I told my children, so we have my soon 17-year-old, I have a nine and
Mhm.
a half year old preteen, worst phase
Mhm.
ever, and
Really
a
tough.
2.5-year-old, which is crazy by
Yeah.
itself. Um,
Yeah.
I told the two older ones basically this. I said, I do not care who you love. I mean, I do
Mhm.
care, but as long
Yeah.
as the person loves you back, doesn't mistreat you,
Yeah.
doesn't make you use drugs or, like get drunk every day or whatever, I'm gonna respect it and
Mhm.
love it. It can be a donkey, it can be, I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know, a man, female, trans, whatever you like it to be. That's not my thing, it's your thing. You do you.
Yeah.
I don't care. I also don't care what you're gonna work or what you
Mhm.
want to study, because I will love you nevertheless if you are a garbage woman or if you are a
Mhm.
doctor or whatever, it doesn't matter. The
Yeah.
only thing I will forever, mind, and where you will see mama bear coming out if you ever do such a thing, is bullying. If I see
Yeah.
you bully or, make other people upset for no reason whatsoever, which is not,
Mhm.
kind of protecting yourself, then
Mhm.
I will get Mama Bear out, because I expect from you good day, goodbye, thank you, please, and to be
Mhm.
respectful and kind to everybody. Everything
Yeah.
else is up to you. And they're
Yeah.
good with it. They have their own personas, yes, of course, but they do what I taught them to do. And I
Yeah.
would rather leave a garbage woman that is
Mhm.
polite and kind to this world than an Elon Musk that's a bitch and a
Yeah.
bad one.
Right, right. It's so funny because my daughter she will be 3 in February, and she's in the stage now where if she's told what to do, she just looks at me with her angry eyebrows and she goes, "Mama, I don't like you. I don't like you, Mama. I only like Papa." And we tell her, because there's one kid at daycare that sometimes she says she doesn't like too. Um, but we say, That's okay. You don't have to like anybody. You do need to be kind.
Yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
matter if you don't like me. You still need to be kind to me." And that's our rule. Is like, that's okay. And I always say, like, when she's like, "I don't like you, Mama," I'm like, it's okay. I love you anyway. You just have to
My
be kind.
mine
And that's
does mine comes to me like this, and I'm like, "What's up, Alex?" And he's like,
it.
"I am angry."
I'm angry.
And I'm like, "Okay, honey, what are you angry about?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Mama." And I'm like, "But why? Mama is so nice."
Mhm.
And he's like,
Yeah.
"Okay."
Oh, it's so if only everybody was that easy, you
No,
know?
it's boys. I'm telling you, it's boys. It's boys. I've been
It's so
two
funny.
girls,
Yeah.
right? Totally different, totally different.
Mhm.
Boys
Mhm.
are mental, right? Mental. But they love you. They love you like there is no grander. Like if you ever thought that your husband loves you the most in the world, have a son, because
That's what I've heard.
that is crazy, right? They love
I've heard that,
crazy.
especially for moms,
Yeah.
there's like a lot of my friends who have had girls and then have boys, they say like
Thank you for the
you will
follow.
not know love the way that your son loves you. And it's just,
No,
and it's so
it's
funny because
crazy.
I used to work at a place called the Puppy Patch. So we sold dogs and we did dog grooming and
Oh,
all of that stuff. And the woman who was the original owner of the business, she said, she is an expert. She had been working with dogs forever. And she said, if you want a dog to love, get a girl. If you want a dog that loves you, get a boy. And I think that there is
totally,
something in
totally.
that. Yeah, and
My
yeah, there
female Mini, she would sell me for a cracker, literally.
yes. Yeah.
She would sell me like you give her a cracker, she'd be like, "Here, take this bitch." Like
Yeah, you could
that's what
take
she
her.
would say.
I don't need her.
But my male one, my Mickey, he would like follow me. See, these days, oh, there
Yep.
he is, by the way. Wait, let me try to
Oh,
show you. 1 second. I don't know if my camera
yeah.
is gonna show you him properly, but
I
let
have
me
your
see.
stream pulled up so I can see.
Oh
Oh,
my God, there he is.
oh my
Of
goodness.
course, next to me.
Yeah, I could see
Um,
him lounging in the back.
but he, for example, now for days since I'm having really bad pain in my bones, he comes to me and just starts licking me.
Oh no, I can't hear you.
He comes
Okay,
and
there you are.
starts to lick me everywhere,
Yeah.
like my hands, my feet. He just licks me
Mhm.
everywhere where he knows that it's hurting. So he
Yeah.
and Minnie just looks me and looks at me and is like, "Where's my food?" No.
Mhm.
And with the girls, it's I mean, Maya, my middle one, she was also very clingy to me, but
Mhm.
never like it's not the same, you know. A girl,
Yeah.
they kind of they also love themselves from day
They're very
one,
independent.
very
Yeah.
independent and very, you know. But the boy, he's like he
Mhm.
it's a difference, you know. It's like, oh, I love you so much, and I love you so much.
Yes,
It's
yes.
crazy, it's crazy, and I love it. And this, for me personally,
Yeah.
it's bad, and not
Mhm.
bad, but for me personally, when I had the girls, he was unplanned. Like, yes, we did the
Mhm.
try, but I only
Mhm.
tried because the doctor said it's only a 3% chance and it's never gonna work. So I was
Wow.
like, okay, I know myself. If I don't do this,
Mhm.
because it was my last egg cell that was on ice, and I was like, I know
Mhm.
myself. If I don't do it in 10 years, I will be like, oh, what if I would have, should have,
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I did it, and then after like 3 weeks, I come back to him, and he's sitting like this, and I'm like, oh no, what's going on? And he's like, you're pregnant. And I'm like, what? I'm
Oh my
38 years old. What do you mean I'm pregnant? You
you
said
said it was not gonna work.
exactly. I was like, you said it's not gonna happen. So I had to lay for like five
Oh my
months. I had to just
gosh.
be laying down, you know, to keep the
Yeah.
pregnancy. And my son actually kind of uh, um, flew out of me.
Yeah, yeah.
He was
That's
born in the shower while I was standing up in the hospital, luckily.
oh my
But
god.
the nurse was just like, "Oh, let's just go." And by the way, everybody who has a problem, with stories like this, please turn your
Yeah,
mute on.
yeah,
He literally, like, she was like, "Oh, we're fine. There's still so much time, and we're fine. Let's
yeah.
just go to the shower," because I'm very big summer lover and I love the
Mhm.
water, so I,
Yeah.
wanted to be in the shower. And
Mhm.
suddenly I'm like, "Oh, he's coming," and
Oh.
they were like, No," and I'm like, "Yes." And
Oh
she
god.
literally, luckily, she reached down, and
Yeah.
as she reached down, he just fell out. He was just like,
Oh my gosh.
and the
That is
funniest the
wild.
funniest story about this, though, is that my husband was standing next to me, holding the shower head and showering
Yeah,
me. And
yeah,
as that happens, I put Alex up here to me. I gave him a kiss and I
yeah,
started waddling, penguin
yeah.
style, to the bed. I look back
Yep.
and my husband is still standing there like this.
Ah.
And I'm like, we're done.
My
Can you
god, he's
come
like,
over?
"We're good. We're good."
So it was
Oh my
funny.
god.
So he had it, and it's literally because they give here like little books, with his first
Yeah.
picture and stuff, with his footprint. And she
Mhm.
wrote into the book, she was like, um, "Dear Alex, you came out like a rugby ball into my
Oh
arms
my
in the
god.
shower." And I still have it. I keep it, and I will keep it forever. It's funny as
That's
heck.
so cute.
So we basically were at home the next day, and I went to
Yeah.
shop. And funnily enough, because I had 65% of my intestines removed, I told you this.
Mhm. Mhm.
While he was growing in me, nobody could see that I'm pregnant because he was taking up all the spaces that
Oh,
intestines would usually take, in.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he
he
likes your
had
space.
lots of room inside there, lots of
Yeah,
room. And
yeah,
when he came out, I went to the shop with him in my arms, and the lady
yeah.
looks at me at the at the casa, and she's like, "Whose
Who
baby is
whose
that?"
baby is that?
And I was like, "Mine?" And she's like,
Oh
you
my
were
gosh.
pregnant? Like, I've been
You have
seeing
this
you for
baby.
10 months. And I was like, yeah, I
Yeah.
was pregnant. And she was like, oh, he's so cute. And I was like, you want to hold him here? I was like totally chill about it. You know, it was so
Gosh.
funny. So
The
funny.
day
But
after, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. You are, too tough. You're tough as nails.
oh,
I
just a funny thing more before I forget,
yeah.
I took pictures like pregnancy shoot by myself, made myself
Yeah.
a milk bath with flowers, and I made my own shoot.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
on the pictures, I look like I ate a good burrito. That's it. Yeah.
Just a tiny little it was
I
like a
do
food
not
portion.
look like a pregnant lady. I'll tell you that much. It was like no, and he's wild. It's like as how the birth is, that's how the child is gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm hopeful that your childbirth was nicer because mine was
Oh,
wild.
it was so well, it was funny because, like, of course, when you start talking about, like, your delivery stories and all of that stuff, like, I think about mine, mine was awesome, but I just had a memory on my phone because I gained no weight anywhere except for my belly, and so you could only tell I was pregnant from the side
Oh
because
yeah.
literally straight on, it was just, like, nothing, but then I had
My
this
mom was
big
like that with
belly.
me.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about so I had my daughter at home, I was very
Oh, that's
fortunate.
so nice.
I had a very, very, positive pregnancy and delivery, but I just remember, like, my midwife was here, and I was very chill. My mom was like, "I didn't know birth could be that peaceful, and it was so
So
nice," and all that
amazing.
stuff, and then, like, when she was getting ready to come out, the only time that I was like, "Ow, that really hurts," was when they call it the ring of
Oh
fire,
yeah, the
so
ring of fire.
yeah, like, when you're crowning and then all of a sudden, like, things are stretching past what they should be stretching to, and it was just crazy. And so my midwife
But
said, "You're going to
it
feel
only
that."
hurts with the first child. After that,
That's what I've heard as well, is that it's like it gets better because your body
it's
remembers, and
like
then
your
it
body is like, oh,
magically.
we've been there, done that, fine.
Yeah, but she my midwife was like, "You're gonna feel that a couple more times, and then she'll come out." And I was like, "The hell I am gonna feel that another time." And so I bared everything down, and I pushed, and I was like, "I'm pushing until this kid is not in me anymore." And I just
I was
remember
trying not to push. I was like, please
nope.
do not, because it was the weirdest feeling ever. I had it was my third delivery, and I was like, I know everything
Yeah,
about delivery, like, huh? And suddenly
yep,
I feel him. I feel him. It's like when you feel a
yep,
bowel movement. Literally, I
yep,
was feeling him
yeah,
go down, and I was like, uh-oh,
mhm,
guys,
yep.
guys, guys,
Something's
this is a
happening.
problem. This is a problem. So I was, it was like crazy. And the worst thing is that there was like the shower had like a huge thick plexiglass, and
Yeah,
I kind of
oh,
put
yeah, yeah.
myself with my full weight on it, and the
Mhm.
only thing I could think of is me falling down and the baby just pew,
Oh, oh, no.
propelling out of me. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, it was definitely a wild one. And the funniest
Oh my
thing was that
god.
people need to know my backstory, because this is why I
Yes,
couldn't have a home birth, or I couldn't have a
yeah,
tub birth, because of all the
mhm,
conditions, and they were afraid of me, either having a seizure or, anything.
right,
So it
right.
was like, it was with very many conditions, and yet I was totally
Mhm,
chill about it. I was like,
yeah,
I love hospitals. I'm basically
yeah,
for 12 years now, I live in a hospital, like after
yeah,
my main home. So when I go to a hospital, I'm like, oh hi, how are you? And anybody,
mhm,
I'm very talkative and very chill, while other are
yeah,
very afraid of the doctors and of everybody. So
mhm,
also at the childbirth hospital, I was there,
mhm.
and my husband came in after a couple of hours when I was admitted, and he would come through that door into the ward, and the first nurse that
Oh
he
my
saw,
gosh.
she was like, "Oh, you're Martin, you're Anya's husband. She's over there." Like everybody
Oh my gosh,
knew.
it was easy.
It was so funny. It was. I love.
No
I
shit,
love.
you were like, "It's just my party hall."
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
it is.
totally, totally. I just love to. I think it's a coping mechanism, because I
Yeah,
don't want it to be a bad experience, so I try to make it as
mhm,
light as possible. So that's
mhm,
why, I when I go to a hospital, and funnily enough,
yeah,
because funds are really bad, and the inflation has gone bonkers,
yeah,
and we're barely
yeah.
managing to stay afloat. So I
Oh,
have to find a job, even though I'm
yeah,
sick. I still have to find a full-time job now. And
yeah.
yesterday I saw a job at my hospital where I go to. It's in my section where I go to on the oncology
Oh
ward,
my gosh.
with my position that I used to work at. So I'm gonna apply.
Yeah.
Funnily enough,
Yeah.
would be funny to just go like, oh, I have chemo, and then I'm gonna go one floor above to my office.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
let's see how
Well,
that works.
also, and like I hear you're just like, I'm going to make anything happen. But also in my brain, I'm like, there's this incredible community behind you that you don't want to put the financial burden on. But the more people that get to hear your story and get to see what you're doing, like it could be in the future that streaming could become your full time, like you never know. And
It
I think,
could be. I mean, I didn't
yeah,
start it for it. I started it
yeah,
because I'm a very genuinely extroverted person. So I
yeah,
just like doing that. I like talking to people. There was streams when it was just me. It was just
yeah.
me just blabbering about. I even
Hmm.
flashed the camera once and had to delete that video. So, lots of fun times in my streams.
Right.
But um it's it might happen, it might not happen. I would love it for it to happen because it's definitely easier.
Hmm.
I had at least five people just pester
Hmm.
me for the past few
Yeah.
weeks why I don't have a donate button. So I made
Yeah.
a donate button. I was like, here you
Good.
go, nobody's gonna use it, so
Yes.
here you go, you have it, I don't care, right?
I would have
Because
added to the list.
no, because people were like, "Oh, you need to make this." It would help, because I said $100,000 in debt because of medical
Yeah,
stuff is just crazy. But here in
so
Austria, you
much.
actually get everything for free that is old school. If I have a
Oh,
surgery,
wow.
most of it is, covered. If I have chemo, most of it is covered, or
Yeah,
radiation. But I was always saved by new stuff.
yeah.
By stem cell treatment, which I had to pay for myself. By
Mm,
traveling, I had my spine encased in medical cement for a while, which, saved
mm,
me for a while. So
my
I would
goodness.
always go and find new treatments because the chemo was obviously not working. So now
Mhm,
currently I'm on a trial, which I can't disclose, but it's with
mhm,
London with the Queen Mary Institute, and there is like a new clinical cancer trial. So I'm in that at the moment, and let's see
okay.
how that does. But it's like a constant flow of being anxious about the future and trying to
Mm,
give my children the best thing that I can, but not being able to because I need to pull the money into the health pot to stay with
mhm,
my children. So it's always like I wanted to go for vacation this year with the kids, but we couldn't because I
mhm,
had to again pay medical stuff. So it's like
mhm,
I'm torn because it's like I want to provide for my kids, but I cannot. And I'm hopeful that one day, be it the stream or be it me being healthy and being able to work,
yeah,
is what gets that money in. So I'm not a money person, I don't care. I more care about genuine genuine interaction, genuine people. I would give my last euro, my last dollar or whatever to somebody in need, even if I need it. That's who I
yeah,
am. But
yep,
I'm having problems with, there's many people who said like, oh, start a GoFundMe or whatever. I don't want to, because
mhm,
remember that girl? There's so many
yep,
people who have it so much harder than me.
yeah,
And who am I? Yes, somebody would say, but you are you, we love you, whatever. But for me, for myself, who am I
mhm,
to go and be like, oh, I have it, I need money. There is so many other people who need it way more. Like literally, we in the guild have a person who's in the Ukraine who suddenly
mhm,
mid-raid will go like, oh, need to go, and logs off because he's under bombardment. Like
yeah,
he's actively
yeah,
being bombed. And then I
right,
come here and I have a roof over my head. I
yeah,
have healthy kids. I have, the money to be at zero every month or in a
mhm,
mild minus. Who am I
yeah,
to ask for something like that? So
yeah,
it's just, it doesn't sit well by me. I'm not that kind of person. So
yes,
that's why if I can make the money with streaming, amazing, right? But
mhm,
if I cannot, then I will look for a job and have streaming as, a nice side hustle where, I'm there for the community and the community is there for me. So it was never the goal. Is it lovely? Yes. I love every new follower of mine, every new
yes,
subscriber of mine. I love it. I'm genuinely thankful. But, you know, we don't live
yeah,
in a world where everything is,
mhm.
perfect.
Yeah, and I think that the authenticity that you share and the transparency about just where you're at and the not having the ask, not putting the demand on, I think there are many ways. Nobody could fault you for coming out and saying, I genuinely need the help. I do, want to start a GoFundMe or whatever. But the fact that you don't, you're like, I will do it myself and I am going to continue pushing. That's, I think, what opens people more to wanting to be a part of the a part of the hero's journey, as we talked about before, a part
Yeah.
of the overcoming, I guess. So yeah,
Oh,
I mean, I
listen,
think
I
that
can tell you one thing. If ever, God forbid, my child would be sick,
Mhm.
I would move the earth itself, right? I
Oh
would
yes,
make GoFundMe after
yes,
GoFundMe. I would
yes,
make, I don't know what I would give a part of myself. Like if it's
yeah,
lungs, if it's liver, if it's any organ that I still have and it's
yeah,
useful, please take
yes,
it, right?
yes,
I am a bit kind of scarred of this because my mother is the exact opposite of me.
hmm
20 surgeries and she has never once visited me in the hospital. So it
wow,
was, it's a tough kind of thing. I know she
hmm
loves me in
hmm
her sort of way, right?
yeah,
But she's unable to show it, and she is a tad bit on the narcissistic side, but that is another story. And so
hmm
it's I couldn't be like that. I can't.
yeah,
I literally would give, whatever I have to an online friend, right? I wouldn't even have need to meet you or to,
yes,
to know you. I trust you that blindly, which has led me
yep,
very often to a very, bad state because I would have it
yes,
that faith shattered. But I still believe in humans. I still believe in
hmm
humanity. I still believe that there is goodness out there, that there is people out
hmm
there, that even my husband is learning, because
hmm yeah,
he his 40th is coming up right in March, and I'm preparing like lots of good, stuff. I'm saving money to
yeah,
prepare good stuff and stuff, and he's just feeling
yeah,
bad because my 40th was a bit so
mm-hmm.
yeah, he's really not good with gift giving, and I have this kind of because I worked as an office manager and an executive
Yeah,
assistant for my whole life. I have this
hmm
kind of thing with gifts where I can really predict good gifts and I can give
yeah.
good gifts and I have lots of ideas and stuff like that. And he's just the opposite. Poor him. He
Oh,
just
man,
doesn't
my
know.
husband is a gifts person and I'm not, and so I know his
Oh,
struggle. I really do.
he really struggles with it. So he's just, I was talking to him about the next, like few days ago, I told him, oh, I can't wait for your birthday. You're gonna love it. I already have set up, plans because I work 6 months before the initial date. I'm like already
Yeah.
setting up plans and everything. And he's like, can you not gift me anything, please? And I'm like,
Oh,
why? And he's like, my gift was so poop. I don't want you to gift me anything. I'm like, it's fine.
oh, no, no.
There's people who struggle with that, and I have to admit
Yeah.
to you, before him I could never understand people who have ADHD, but
Oh,
now,
yeah.
as when you have a partner that you really, that you want to make work,
Mhm.
you have to learn about it, and he has
Yeah.
taught me a lot about, getting the patience and getting
Mhm.
into that mindset of learning about the struggles with ADHD, because I can't imagine what's going on in his brain. That must be
Oh my gosh, yeah.
terrifying. I already have OCD and it's, already overwhelming me at times because I'm like, I need to get this done,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for him to have that kind of, I can only imagine it as being drunk and high all the time. Like that's like
Yeah. It's
the
very
state.
loud and it's very disorienting, and there's so much going on.
Yeah.
My husband and I both have ADHD, and mine is inattentive and his is hyperactive. And I mean, I say that as somebody who is diagnosing my husband a little bit, but he's now pursuing some more supports with that. But it's funny because we'll kind of like trigger each other's ADHD in
Yeah, but in
tolerance.
the end, you still both
Yeah.
have it. It's a different
Yeah.
kind, but you both have
Yes.
it. And this is what kind of
Yes.
gets you closer together. For us, it's more difficult because he has something that I, by the love of
Yeah.
me, cannot understand.
Mhm.
For me, it's like, oh, I told you to do this, and then you forget it, and then you forget it the
Yeah.
whole day. And I'm like, but how? How can
Oh,
you
I
forget
know.
it? Because in my mind, I have lists. I have literal, like, done,
Yes.
done, 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 need to do this, and then tuck, 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 this is done. And it
Yep.
just moves like that. For him,
Mhm.
it's like 100 tabs
Yeah.
open, and just
Yep.
all of them work at once, and none of them get shut off or done. So it's
I
like
relate. I relate.
that's how I imagine it to be. So it's a struggle, it's a struggle
Yeah.
to work with that. And but the only thing that we really amazingly work at, I mean, except for being married and loving each other, obviously,
Mhm.
but we are co-tanking, right?
Oh,
We are
nice.
co-tanking in raids, or we strive
Nice.
to be in a guild where we co-tank, because that is the most genuinely amazing thing ever,
Yeah.
to
Oh,
co-tank with your partner, because it's like
that's amazing.
no discussions needed, no
Mhm.
anything needed. He usually tanks either on his monk or his warrior, and I tank
Mhm.
always on the druid. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's just so easy, right? Because if we mess up, you don't hear us on Discord, we just go like, oh no, next time you do this and I'll do that, and then, if need be, we go and practice. But I love this. We've been a co-tanking couple for a very, very long time. And it's genuinely
Wow.
the only moment in game where we're like totally in tune with each other. And I love that feeling,
Yeah.
being in tune with somebody else, no matter who it is. Sometimes you're in tune with your child and you're just like, and we
Yeah.
have this since we met each other. That was one of the things that really stood out, that we could
Mhm.
literally sometimes read each other's minds. I
Yeah.
would say something and he's like, that's exactly what I wanted to say, or it would happen vice versa.
Oh,
So,
wow.
it's funny. And our birthdays are just one day apart. Well,
Oh, really?
1 year and 1 day apart. So I'm
Oh my
1 year older, and it's like he's born on the
yeah.
26th of March, and I'm born on the 27th of March. So,
Oh.
it's like his birthday comes first, and then the next day it's mine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, that's incredible. And the coat tanking, like, I feel like that dynamic is just so cool because that you can kind of get into the flow state, and then, like you
Oh yeah,
said, you can
totally.
attune to each other, and then you can just like be really in sync. And then yeah, I work with couples. That's my specialty, and I usually will tell my couples like, listen, you guys just need a win. Like it's been
Yeah.
long. It's been a
Yeah.
long time, and you guys have been handling a lot of stuff, and you've been doing beautifully. But like life is hard, being in a marriage is hard. Like there are challenges and like
Oh
sometimes
no,
you
yeah.
just
He
need
he
a
he
win.
is having a major struggle. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You would need his side of the story,
Mhm.
but his
Yeah.
his mother died of cancer when he was 7. So
Wow.
being
Wow.
married to
Yeah.
me is kind of constantly bringing that up.
Golly. I can only
He
imagine.
knew about my sickness. I was very open. When we
Mhm.
met each
Mhm.
other, I was like, listen, I have 2 kids, 2 dogs, and I have cancer
Yep.
very often. So
Yeah.
you're either in or out. Simple
Yep.
as that. I'm too old
Yep.
for this crap. I cannot just,
Yeah.
like, no. And I'm quite sure that there was a moment when he was like, oh, should I do this? Should I not? But we just clicked so instantly
Yeah.
that it wasn't even a choice for him. And then, funnily enough, after 3 weeks of being together, just being together,
Mhm.
he had a situation where he had to leave where he was living. And
Mhm.
I was just like, well, you have a room in our place. I literally opened my doors
Yeah.
to a semi
Yeah.
stranger after 3 weeks, and he just moved in and never
Wow.
moved out.
Oh my gosh, I love that though. Sometimes it just works.
Yeah,
Sometimes it really
yeah,
just
it
works.
it did, and my
Yeah.
my daughters also clicked with him immediately, so that was the sign for me. I always I presented him immediately the first day we met to my dogs, because I was like, if the
Mhm.
dogs like him, then that's
Mhm.
definitely good. So, and they
Oh,
did
they
like
are
him.
such good judges of character.
Exactly. So I
Yeah.
would never date someone that,
Yeah.
like doesn't like dogs, or where the dogs, even growl at him for a second. No, 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 no.
They know. They
Definitely
pick up
not.
on things that we don't.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
my middle one, she was 4 when she met him, and I think
Oh,
the first thing that
kids
she
know as
said,
well.
or she was 3.5, 3.5, 4, and she said when in the evening he was meant to go home. That was roughly a
Yeah.
week after we started, kind of we met. She said, "Why are you going?" And he was like, "Well, I need to go home." And she was like, "Well, this is your home. Where are you going?"
Yeah. Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah, it's a fun time. It's like so many stories. Like I had the
Yeah.
because I was often talking to, some nurses or doctors in the hospital while having my therapies, and there
Yeah.
was one nurse that actually like knows my whole life story, because we would always chat.
Mhm.
And I saw her recently, and she was like, "You know what? You should just make a book." And I was like, at
Yes,
this point,
yes,
girl,
you
that book
should.
is a trilogy, right? There is like
Yes.
too many stories to
Yeah.
tell. And she was like, just do it. And I'm like, I don't have the
Yeah.
time.
I
I have
know.
pains, I have kids, I love to cook,
Yeah.
I have my streaming and my gaming. I don't have the time to write a book. Like,
Oh my
really don't.
gosh. No, I'm team book though. I think that you should. You definitely should write a book.
No, there's
100%.
there's a way for me to make money, sell books.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Do that.
No, just
Um,
kidding. It's just like there is just some stories. There's like people with such amazing stories, and you would
yeah,
never meet them if you wouldn't have this
yeah.
community. So I
It's so
think
true.
that there should be oh, there, I'll write the book about Ma. There we go. We got somebody who can
Yes.
write the book.
Okay, good, good. I love it.
No, but it's like
Yeah,
it's
no,
just
Joe is
it's
great.
so many so many people that we watch movies about people. We watch
Yeah,
movies about, these stories that were human ones. They were
yeah.
just doing their thing, and then we watch or we read their stories or we watch their stories. And I said, I don't see myself as that important or that, kind of, I just lived my life to the best of my ability. And that was it. Everything that was thrown in my face, and I had some really gruesome stuff happen to me. Right?
Mhm,
The one that shaped me the most, for example, kids wise,
mhm.
and I'm like an open book. You can literally ask me anything, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like an open book. But the thing that shaped me into a better parent was
Mhm,
that I was 18 when I got pregnant with my
mhm,
boyfriend at the time, who then turned into my
mhm,
fiance, and I was expecting twins, and
mhm,
I caught him in bed with another woman
mhm.
when I was 5 months pregnant, roughly 5 months, four and a half
Goodness.
months. And in the commotion of me getting out of that situation, I fell down some stairs. Some would say I fell,
Mm.
some would say I was pushed. Never mind, that's behind us.
Oh,
And I lost the girls that I was
oh
carrying.
my
So back
goodness.
then, I literally buried them with my own two hands in the
Oh,
woods. And
yeah,
after that, I was scarred, for a very long time. But then when I
yeah,
got my first one, I was just like, this is the feeling that I wanted, and this is, I will never want her to be an only child and
yeah,
whatever. So I was always like teen kid. I hate
yeah,
when I see somebody, mistreating their kids. I hate myself when I, yell at my kids, or when I slap his
mhm.
bum because he did something.
Yep,
He has
yep,
diapers. It's like
yep,
you slap their
mhm.
butts until they have diapers. After that, you don't do it anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
it's like, it's very important to me to give them that love from
yeah,
a parent. My husband didn't have it from his mother, because she died, and I didn't
mhm.
have it from my mother because of circumstances, because she maybe wasn't loved
Yeah,
accordingly.
yeah,
So I think that is so many people in this world would be so much nicer if they would have
mhm.
had this. And not everybody should have children, right? By
Yeah,
far.
yeah,
There is
mhm.
people who should just be like, I'm fine in being a hermit
Yep,
or having my partner and us not having kids.
yep,
Not everybody is obliged to do so, right?
yeah,
The worst thing that you
yep,
can do is have a child when you don't want one, or
yeah,
you don't know how to, be a
yeah,
parent, or you don't want to learn how to be a parent.
yeah,
So it's just about love, I guess. It's just about
yeah.
loving them and loving yourself through them, because more often than not, my son is a very, very, how would you call that? When he imitates emotions,
Oh, yeah, he's, like, very empathetic.
it's beyond empathy, to be fair, because I'm
Mm,
also
okay,
empathetic, but I'm
mhm,
empathetic to the point of like, oh, I understand you. But if I get shouty, for example, with the middle one, because
mhm,
I don't know, she left her socks, on the table for
yeah,
the fifth time in a row, I'd be like, I raise my voice to make my point across, and he
mhm.
immediately comes to me and go and yells at me. He's
Ah,
like,
yes,
you
yes.
know
He's
I
busy.
don't want you to yell, and I'm gonna yell back because,
Yeah,
and then I feel bad because I'm like, okay, so the girls didn't have that ever,
yeah,
but he kind of imitates the emotion, and that makes it so abundantly clear what happens in WoW more so often.
mhm.
The moment somebody writes you something, oh, you're a noob, you're a loser, or you this, you
Oh my
that,
gosh,
the moment
yeah.
you tap into that, it's just an exchange of not only information but emotion, and that
Yeah,
emotion just gets you riled up so bad.
yeah,
And I do believe that there's many people out there that have that kind of psychosomatic, thing where their body will react to their state of mind. um
Yeah.
this is also the reason why I so often persevered, because I would be like, no, I'm not gonna, die now,
Yeah.
or I'm not gonna do
Yeah.
this. So my mind
Yeah.
just goes from,
You've had that
um
will.
yeah. But there is many people who have that, what's it called,
Mm.
fright or flight, no, flight or
Yeah.
fight, yeah.
Yeah, fight or flight. Yeah.
So I was always like, I would never flee, never ever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yep.
always the fighter. I'm always the one. You tell me, hey, you loser, I'd be like in your face immediately.
Yes.
It's my husband who
Exactly.
then like goes between me and is like, oh, honey, come
Yeah.
on, please do not,
Yeah, I've always been the peacemaker, but in the trauma response world, I'm flop. I'm actually a secret other one, and I pass out, unfortunately. So
Oh no. I'm the
I'm like a
yeah,
pissing goat.
I'm it's I don't know what's worse, because in my, I just see red at that very moment. If it's something really like bad,
Yeah,
if it's something small, then I'm good.
yeah.
But at one point we had a situation where my daughter was hurt by accident by a glass shard that was thrown onto the floor, and
Oh,
her lip was cut open. The moment
yeah.
I saw her blood, I went
Mm-mm.
for the guy that did it. I was like,
Yep, yep.
No, you did." And my
Mhm.
husband stepped in and he was like, "Okay, honey, come on, no, 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 no."
Yep, what do you mean?
I wouldn't care. I would be like,
Yeah,
"You did. I don't care." But it's I guess in somebody's nature. But it's if it's
yeah,
overwhelming to the system, then it's probably better
yeah.
to tap out than to tap into it. So
Mhm.
it's always. But this is where community helps. It helps you learn so much about yourself.
Thanks so much for listening to this Sparey session. Stay tuned for more content or join us live on Twitch Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday at 8 p.m. EST.